provide you with the lowest per GB rates, night or day. SLT 4G, driving you ever forward.
Making headlines for First at 9. Seeking an amicable solution. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya meets President Maithripala Sirisena to discuss how to resolve the country's political impasse. Another one-sided affair. Parliament passes motion to suspend expenditure of the Prime Minister's office. The governing party, however, questions the legitimacy of it.
When the matter is under adjudication, the Parliament has no power to debate the motion.
Prudence or exploitation? Tamil National Alliance says that it will support the restoration of the government which existed before the 26th of October. Satisfactory numbers. The central bank announces that the country's exports grew by 4.4% in September. Growing tension. German Chancellor Angela Merkel stresses that there is no military solution to the naval confrontation between the Ukraine and Russia. Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Kanayaka. We're going to start with an institution which has drawn much of the public's attention recently, the Parliament. The motion to suspend allocations for the Prime Minister's office was passed in Parliament with 123 votes in favour today. Boycotting today's session, the governing party was absent during the vote. Despite the decision by the governing party, Minister of Education and Higher Education, Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, attended the session today and requested the Speaker to resort to discussions with the President regarding the ongoing political impasse.
Parliamentary group meeting of the governing party was held this morning under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. It was there that parliamentarians of the government decided not to participate in the debate related to the motion on suspending allocations for the Prime Minister's office.
We will not attend the parliamentary session today because it is completely illegal. If you look at the Article 152 of the Constitution, you will see that it is illegal to present such a motion by someone other than a minister. The very same issue is taken up at court as well. So the Speaker is not only violating Article 152 of the Constitution, he is also challenging the judiciary. The Speaker is conducting these sessions in an illegal manner and he does not seem to respect the law. Because of this autocratic behaviour, we decided not to participate in the session today.
Pocket meeting වලට අපි යන්නේ.
If the Speaker is consulting UNP attorneys and not the Attorney General regarding these proceedings, it is illegal. If the Speaker works in a fair manner, we will attend parliamentary sessions as usual and do the necessary.
It was in this backdrop that government MPs sent a letter to the General Secretary of the Parliament claiming that they will not accept motions presented to the Parliament in an illegal and unconstitutional manner. They also held Parliament's General Secretary responsible over these developments. Meanwhile, party leaders' meeting chaired by Speaker Karu Jayasuriya was also held at 9 a.m. today at the parliamentary premises, focusing on day's proceedings. The parliamentary session chaired by the Speaker was then convened at 10:30 this morning.
This morning I had a delegation led by Honourable Dinesh Gunawardena, who raised the issue about this motion being sub judice. So in this connection I have already explained my position on the matter. The motion before the House today is a matter which arises consequent to the adoption of the no confidence motions. What is sought to be debated today is not the matter under consideration by the Court of Appeal. Therefore, I am also convinced, having consulted expert constitutional lawyers in the country, that this matter does not fall within the purview of the Article 152 of the Constitution. Therefore, as such, I permit this motion to be debated by the House today.
UNP parliamentarian Ravi Karunanayake presented the motion to suspend allocations to the Prime Minister's office.
Our opposition is protesting once more, and that shows who really commands the majority in Parliament, which is why I am going to present this motion. This House on the 16th of November accepted the official statement made by the Speaker on the 15th of November that, in terms of paragraph 2 of the no confidence motion against the government adopted on the 14th of November, the Cabinet of Ministers to dissolved in terms of Article 48 of the Constitution, and accordingly this House further resolved that since the 26th of October, as contemplated in Article 48 of the Constitution, this House had no confidence in the government, including Honourable Mahinda Rajapaksa. Parliament has full control over public finances as mandated in Article 148 of the Constitution. Accordingly, this Parliament resolves that from the 15th of November, the Secretary to the Prime Minister has no authority to approve any expenditure drawn from the funds of the Republic, and any person taking any action in violation of this resolution will be dealt with according to law.
UNP parliamentarian Navin Dissanayake seconded the motion. Although the governing party decided to boycott the session today, Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa was present at the House and expressed views during the debate.
The issues of who should be the Prime Minister, who should be the Cabinet Ministers and when should the Parliament be dissolved must be resolved by a Chief of the Executive and the Legislature. These matters should not be resolved by the judiciary. Currently, there is a constitutional deadlock because the legislature won't follow instructions by the executive, while the executive won't accept proposals passed by the legislature. No political leader wins in this political instability. We can't find a solution to this problem by conducting post-mortems as to who was right and wrong. The problem can instead be resolved by establishing a government by whichever party that commands the majority in Parliament. As a parliamentarian, I would like to make any sacrifice for that cause. The rest of parliamentarians are also of the same stance. We know that mistakes have been made by many, but we still trust that the President will continue to protect democracy and the Constitution of this country through the power vested in him by the mandate of millions of people who cast their votes for him. The President too made various sacrifices for the people. Honourable Speaker, I know that you are busy with all the work in the agenda, but I kindly request that you suspend your duties briefly to have a discussion with the President. Please talk with him and resolve this issue within the next couple of days by giving the power to a group which commands the majority in Parliament. This will ensure political stability in the country. I took up the same subject with the President and he seems interested. But then, it is you who holds the legal and constitutional power to intervene in this directly.
මට කාලය ලබා දීම පිළිබඳව ස්තුතිය ප්‍රකාශ කරමින් මම නිහඬ වෙනවා.
ගරු සභාවට සදාන් කරන්න ඕනේ අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමා.
The President and I have no problem in discussing matters because we share a mutual understanding. So I will make an honest effort to restabilize the country through dialogue while adhering to views of the public and majority of the Parliament.
වගේම පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ බහුතර මතය අනුව රට යථාස්ථාවර භාවයට පත් කිරීමට බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
මේ සැලසුම් කොට දියත් කරන ලද කුමන්ත්‍රණයක අර්බුදයක්.
This is an issue which arose as a result of a heavily planned conspiracy. The JVP doesn't believe that you can resolve the outcome of a conspiracy through a mere discussion. A member of the opposition presented a motion saying that we should suspend allocations for the Prime Minister. Why should they bring such a motion only today, and that too is a motion which should be presented by a Cabinet Minister? If they are cutting off expenditure of a non-existent Prime Minister, Mahinda Rajapaksa, why must we bear expenditure of Ranil Wickremesinghe? If this was an honest motion, we propose that Ranil Wickremesinghe must too leave temple trees once this motion is passed.
ඉවත් ඔය ආයුතු කියලා අපි යෝජනා කරනවා. ඒ දෙකම එකට. දෙකම එකට.
මේ තත්ත්වය යටතේ මම යෝජනාවක් කරන්න කැමතියි.
I propose that we all unite, but that is not to focus on whether Mahinda Rajapaksa or Ranil Wickremesinghe should stay as Prime Minister. We must come up with a set of principles on what to do and what not to do for a short span of time, let's just say 3 to 6 months. I am of the view that the governing party as well as the opposition must go for an election.
ආණ්ඩු බලය තියාගෙන එක පාර්ශ්වයක් ඡන්දයට යනවා වෙනුවට
Dr. Raj Senratna.
මේ සම්පූර්ණ අරගලය තුල
In this political chaos, if one hoists the flag of peace, I will be very keen to hear that message. Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa was not only talking about resorting to peace. He requested the Honourable Speaker to intervene in the matter, to appoint an individual who commands the majority in Parliament and let him decide on the Cabinet of Ministers. Who wants to oppose this request? If one person comes here all by himself and says that he will protect our rights, I say that I'm in agreement with him.
මම එකඟයි ඒ අදහසට.
Following the debate, a vote was held under the electronic voting system. The motion was passed with 123 votes in favour.
ඡන්ද 123කින් සම්මත වූ බව සඳහන් කරන්න කැමැතියි.
Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa and independent parliamentarian Venerable Athurali Ratanathera, however, abstained from voting.
Now, several parliamentarians of the opposition expressed their views to media following the session in Parliament today. The only representative of the governing party present in the House, Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, gave his stance on the current political situation in the country.
The duty of all the people's representatives in the parliament is to resolve this issue amicably in a democratic way. Therefore, the best option that we can resort to is to have a peaceful discussion with the intervention of Honourable Speaker. That is what I suggested. All the members of the opposition, including Honourable Ranil Wickremesinghe and the Honourable Speaker, have now agreed, and we are in the process of discussing this matter with His Excellency the President.
Sir, have you returned back to the UN?
Returning back of the UNP is not a question that you can ask. President Maithripala Sirisena was elected by the people as our UNP candidate and common candidate. I was always under his government and not under any other government. He is the head of the cabinet, he is the head of the government.
When something illegal happens, it should be corrected in a legal way. So we took measures to legally correct something that was illegally done. We are ready to present a budget and ready to move forward. Debt interest rates from sovereign bonds have increased from 5% to 10%. The rupee depreciated to 183 against the dollar. They're told that the Singapore Free Trade Agreement will be torn apart. But why did not they do that? They, however, stayed in power even though in an illegal manner. While in power, they represented traffickers and contractors.
විපක්ෂයේ ඉන්නකොට මහජනයා ගැන කතා කරන බලයට ආම වෙනස් වෙනවා.
ජනාධිපතිවරයා තීන්දුවක් කරගන්න ඕන.
The president should arrive at a decision and should agree that the mistake he made is enormous. Do they still have the value they had before the conspiracy on the 26th of October? Did we cause their devaluation?
ඒක නැති කරගත්තේ අපි හින්දාද?
Following Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksha's request for a discussion between the Speaker and the Head of State to resolve the country's political impasse, a meeting was held between the two this evening at the Presidential Secretariat. Following the talks, a Speaker's media unit released a statement saying that the President agreed to hold separate discussions tomorrow with the opposition leader and other leaders of the United National Front in order to find an immediate solution to the prevailing political situation in the country.
The discussion between President Maithripala Sirisena and Speaker Karu Jayasuriya took place this evening, and they had lengthy talks over the present political situation of the country. The statement issued by the Speaker's media unit said that the President agreed to hold separate discussions tomorrow with opposition leader R. Sambandhan and other leaders of the United National Front in order to find an immediate solution to the prevailing political situation in the country. It further said that the Speaker had pointed out that the country is becoming unstable in every aspect and that especially the country will not be able to bear the impact of the prevailing situation on its economy. Meanwhile, TNA parliamentarians have written to President Maithripala Sirisena informing him that they will support the restoration of a government headed by the United National Front as had existed prior to the 26th of October. The letter signed by 14 MPs of the Ilangai Tamilarsu Katchi also states that they will support the appointment of a nominee of the UNF who is in the opinion of the President is able to command the confidence of Parliament as Prime Minister.
Moving on, the Minister of Transportation and Civil Aviation, Nimal Siripal de Silva, insists that the motion to suspend expenditure of the PM's office is ineffective as the Parliament has no power to debate a motion that is under adjudication. He added that the governing party would not entertain or be part of an illegal motion and thus decided to boycott today's session.
We took a decision not to attend Parliament today because the motion which is given by these members, which is for discussion today, is on the basis that there is no government. And this matter is being adjudicated in the Court of Appeal in a writ application by Ranil Wickremesinghe himself and the UMP MPs. So this will be taken up for debate tomorrow. So the court will have to examine, thereafter give a decision whether the application can be sustained or not. So therefore, when the matter is under adjudication, the Parliament has no power to debate a motion. So therefore, we can't be a party to an illegal motion, to an illegal act done by the Honourable Speaker. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya will go into the history as a person who devastated the parliamentary democracy and ignored all the norms, standing orders and constitution of the country, it is very clear that this motion has no effect. This motion cannot be brought legally before the House, and even if it is passed by so-called the UMP Sirikota Assembly, this has no binding effect or validity in the eyes of the law. So therefore, we have strongly taken up this position. Usually, before a motion is brought, it is brought before the committee, that is the party leaders, and they approve that it must be included in the order paper. No such approval has been taken.
බොහොම සූක්ෂම විදිහට දේශපාලන න්‍යායපත්‍රයක්.
Based on a political agenda, this was a scheme strategically brought by the former government to handle the parliamentary proceedings once more. I told the Speaker that he has no right to include this proposal in the parliamentary agenda and requested him to seek legal assistance from the Attorney General. He said yes to that, but never followed through. When we met the Speaker today, we asked him as to whether he took legal assistance, for which he said yes. We asked him as to from whom he received legal advice, and he replied that he took advice from a select group of private attorneys. We insisted that he cannot choose the attorneys to seek legal advice and requested him to seek advice from the Attorney General. But the Speaker does not prefer that way.
හැබැයි එතුමා ඒකට කැමති නැහැ.
On more news stemming from today's parliamentary session, parliamentarian of the United National Party, Sajid Premadasi, is insistent that the head of state cannot ignore the motion passed in parliament today and that he should give credence to the decisions that are made in parliament. Addressing a media briefing following today's parliamentary session, MP Premadasi also expressed confidence that the president would arrive at a suitable conclusion regarding the constitutional deadlock in the country.
All along, we have followed the relevant and the requisite constitutional procedures to express our opinions. So, on a variety of occasions, we have shown our majority. This is something which His Excellency the President cannot ignore. He has to give credence and recognition for the decisions that are made on the floor of the House. And I fervently and sincerely believe that he will follow the good practice of following the legal stipulations of the Constitution and the standing orders. We are very confident that he'll come to a proper and reasonable conclusion regarding this constitutional crisis.
In this alleged cabinet, they have agreed to pass a vote on account, but eventually, since the finance powers are vested with the parliament, has to come to parliament for approval. If it doesn't reach the parliament for the necessary approval, can they move forward and issue another gazette notification saying that so and so is the Minister of Finance, for an example, identifying Sirisena himself as the Minister of Finance and taking out money from the treasury?
Constitutionally, it cannot happen. However, if one takes the optimistic approach, one can assume that the relevant correct procedures will be followed. A pessimistic interpretation would be if you reverse and look at the record of this purported administration commencing from the 26th of October. There is a great possibility of utilization of extra constitutional methods to achieving one's political objectives.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, experts in the retail industry voice concerns over lack of professionalism in the industry. Addressing the annual general meeting of the Sri Lanka Retailers Association in Colombo recently, Deputy Chairman of Cargill Ceylon PLC, Ranjit Page, said lack of professionalism is discouraging potential newcomers.
The second annual general meeting of Sri Lanka Retailers Association was held in Colombo recently. The association represents over 40 corporate members in diverse sectors, varying across clothing, fashion and jewellery, household and consumer durables, footwear and accessories and many more.
What we need in the retail industry, I think one of the most important things is to make it a professional body. If you don't make it a profession, you're going to have a bigger challenge. Because one of the biggest challenges today is getting people to join retail. It's not about getting governments and incentives and exhibitions. It's about making people in the trade to believe that this is a profession. Wherever you go in the 25 districts, people are improving their retail appearance. But are they able to get people to come and work for them? I think my colleague knows that it's not easy. But I feel that they feel working in a retail environment, it's not nice. I believe Sri Lanka has tremendous opportunity in 2019. Sri Lankan brands, Sri Lankan service, Sri Lankan people are much better than the other countries around. Because it's so easy to go to a retail shop here. Brands are coming in, international brands. Are we ready? I think the question is, it's not that are we ready, but do you believe that the future of this country is going to be driven through services? What we can do, each of us, individually, collectively, and as an association, is to build the next leaders of the retail industry. Create new brands, new shops, new leaders. But for that, we have to use our experience.
Now to bring you a market update, the all-share price index rose 0.19% to 5,992.7 today, which declined 0.41% last week, following a 0.39% fall the previous week. The market turnover was 745.9 million rupees today, and foreigners sold a net 143.1 million rupees worth of stocks. Now let's see how the market performed during the day.
The bond market, secondary market yield curve remained broadly steady despite the prevalent uncertainty prevailing in the political front, while overall market witnessed a thin volume. Activity continued to be centered on mid to long-term maturities, and while considerable volumes of long-term maturities traded in the market. The stock market side, the Bros ended in a green for fourth consecutive day, recording a 2-week high. Market witnessed an uptrend during the first half of the trading, reaching an intraday high of 6,006 and continued a downtrend, closing the day at 5,993, gaining 12 points.
Now time to look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies around the world. Now, Dr. K.A.S. Kirigala has been appointed the Executive Chairman of Sri Lanka Insurance Board with effect from today. Dr. Kirigala, who is a Special Grade Officer of Sri Lanka Administrative Service, carries over 33 years of experience in government service and Sri Lanka Administrative Service. Prior to his latest appointment, Dr. Kirigala was the Secretary to the State Ministry of Finance. He had also served as the Additional Secretary to the Ministries of Youth Affairs, Project Management and Southern Development, National Policies and Economic Affairs, Health and the State Ministry of Youth Affairs. Time to look at news from around the world. Now, German Chancellor Angela Merkel has stressed that there is no military solution to the naval confrontation between Ukraine and Russia of Crimea. She made this remark while speaking alongside Ukrainian Prime Minister at a business forum in Berlin.
On Sunday, Russia fired on 3 Ukrainian ships sailing towards the strait between the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov and seized their crews. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko has urged NATO to send ships to the area. Poroshenko has implemented martial law across Ukraine's border regions for 30 days in response to the crisis. German Chancellor Angela Merkel blamed Russia for the crisis but said it could only be resolved through sensible dialogue. Russian President Vladimir Putin meanwhile accused Poroshenko of creating the naval provocation to boost his ratings ahead of 2019 elections. Meanwhile, Russian state media report that Moscow has delivered a battalion of S-400 surface-to-air missiles to North Crimea and also plans to build a new missile early warning radar station there.
Moving on to other stories from overseas, US President Donald Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, pleaded guilty on lying to Congress in relation to the Russia inquiry. Cohen admitted that he misled lawmakers regarding a Trump real estate project in Russia. In August, Cohen pleaded guilty to violating finance laws during the 2016 presidential election by by handling hush money for Trump's alleged lovers. Today's development is the latest twist in the U.S. Department of Justice Special Counsel's investigation into whether Trump or his inner circle colluded with a Russian attempt to influence the 2016 presidential election. We got sports news coming up on the other side of this break, so stay tuned.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Time for sports, and it is football. Now, as the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League nears, several high-profile teams were in action yesterday as well as the day before, and there were some interesting results which delayed their progression to the next stage. Now, let's take a look at some of those high-profile results and incidents from the last 2 days.
Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp remained positive despite seeing his side slip to a 2-1 defeat at Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League yesterday, labelling next month's winner-takes-all clash with Napoli an Anfield final. Group C leaders Napoli, who travelled to Liverpool on 11th December, are 3 points clear of the Premier League side, but a 1-0 win or a victory by a 2-goal margin or more will see Klopp's men reach the last 16 of the Champions League once more. Tottenham Hotspur must win in Barcelona in the Champions League next month if they are to be guaranteed an unlikely place in the last 16. Christian Eriksen's 80th minute winner gave Tottenham a deserved 1-0 victory over Inter Milan yesterday, a result that lifted them above the Italians into second place in Group B by virtue of their better head-to-head record. Jose Mourinho will face no action over his bizarre celebration after Marouane Fellaini injury time winner for Manchester United on Tuesday night. The goal prompted Mourinho to pick up a crate full of drinks bottles and throw them to the ground as his team secured a 1-0 Champions League win over Young Boys at Old Trafford.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Now, moving on to your weather forecast, temperatures are to vary between 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, with the highest temperature expected in the Puttlam district. Showers are expected to occur in many parts of the island, with fairly heavy falls of around 75 millimeters in Sabaragamuwa, central, western and northwestern provinces, as well as in the Galle and Matha districts. Now, misty conditions may also occur at some places in the central, Sabaragamuwa and western provinces during the mornings. Here's a look at your city-by-city forecast. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Now, before we go, as usual, we're going to leave you with something. And today it's Mullaitivu, which is located on the northeastern coast of the Northern Province. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.